Okay. So I want to say the man needs no introduction, but let's do one anyway. Oliver, so co-founder of one of the largest CRO agencies in the world called ConversionWise. You founded and sold the biggest affiliate community online. You're a mentor. Fun fact, interesting fact, by the way, you're a fully qualified chef. So for the first time we spoke for about an hour, and I mean it could have gone for 4 more hours if you ask me, but I'm happy we got some more time today. So yeah, Oliver, thank you for being here. Excited for it.
Thank you. I'm excited as well. Looking forward to it.
Love it, love it. So I'd love to start off at the very beginning. Let's start there. So what would you say we need to know about Oliver that would explain how you got where you are today?
I mean, the intro itself was very flattering. I
Mhm.
appreciate it. I think that was probably all the highs. You probably need to know that there's been plenty of lows. I've been online since I was probably 15. I'm 36, I think now. I
Okay.
can't, I literally lose count. When you get above 30, you just forget how old you are. I think I'm 36 or 35. I'm 36.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been online for a long time, 20 years now. And yeah, crazy roller coaster ride, ups, downs, all the in between. Started off, as you said, as a chef, and got into the entrepreneurial space and online space. And I guess cliche, but haven't looked back since really.
Yeah, love that. Love that. How did you manage to manage the time like with chef with being like doing different projects all that how did you find the time to be productive on all of these spectrums?
Yeah, whether or not I was productive was one thing. I think one thing that I've always stuck by is being ruthless and just being a workhorse. I've always worked. I've never been a person that like hates work. I love work. As long as you enjoy it, obviously.
Yeah.
But you know, for example, here in the UK is tomorrow is a bank holiday, which is like a national holiday. I'm working because I genuinely love to work. And obviously now that's a bit different. Now I have children and I spend a lot more time, free time, amazingly with my family. But when I was a chef, it was always I loved the fact that I could earn money where no one was telling me how to earn it. No one even understood how I was making money. Like I started making money online through communities and affiliate marketing. So that was just such a rush. The fact that no one even knew what I was doing. They were like seeing me making this money, but they didn't understand why. I mean, half the time I didn't even understand how, like, or why I was making this money to start with. But just trying new things and just the thrill of like making that first bit of money for yourself when for many years I was a chef and working really stupidly long hours and getting paid nothing really. So for a change of like making your own money and kind of yeah, just doing it myself was just a huge thrill. So it never felt like work for me. I also worked very unsociable hours as a chef. For those of you in the catering world, you probably know, like same with waiters, etc. You kind of work, you start early in the morning, start at like 8 o'clock. You then work till like after lunch, so 2:30ish. You then finish. We used to do splits, so I would then go home, and no one would be around. Like all my friends would be at school still or doing a 9 to 5, so I would have that time to myself. So I would just work. I would just get online and work. I would work on my communities, work at different affiliate marketing techniques and methods, and then I would go back into work about 5:36 until close. And if we were lucky, close was like half 9, 10, but typically it was like 11 o'clock. And then as a chef, what two things? One, you drink a hell of a lot of coffee. And two, the evening shift is a rush. Like that's everyone says, like, I bet you hated the evening shift. That's the best shift. That's when you're like busy. It's you're in the zone, like things are flying around. That's the rush. You do it for that rush. But when you finish that, it's very hard to switch off. It's not like you can come home at 11 o'clock at night after an evening shift in a kitchen as a chef and go to sleep. You can't because you're buzzing. You've drank loads of coffee, or you've just been in this mad rush. So you either do two things: you drink or you work.
Did you
And
all
normally I worked, yeah. So I would just be on sort of line again for another couple of hours whilst I guess winded down. But yeah, I just worked. People would sort of assume that those hours are very unsociable, but also hard to fit other stuff in around. But actually, they worked in my favor because in the day no one was around during that split, so I worked. And when I say work, I mean I worked online on my various different ventures. And then the same in the evening when I came home, everyone else was asleep and I was buzzing. So I led in bed often, you know, that kind of meme picture of someone working from their laptop in bed. That was me. Like I just went in bed and kind of worked for another couple of hours. And it also played into my favor because we were working with a lot of US time zones. So it was all good.
There's so many things you said there that I agree with. First of all, making your first bit of money online, it's an addictive feeling, really. Like you see, you can make your own money. So like, I just want to make more of it. I can
Yeah.
also agree 100% with the unsociable hours you do when you're a waiter, because I also did that a little bit. So you work when everyone is like relaxing, and then when everyone is relaxing, you want to do more work. And also when you finish your shift, you still have so much energy. So I love that you
Yeah.
actually put that
Yeah,
to good
exactly.
use instead of doing other things with that. Do you think for you it was also the fact that you were your own boss and no one told you what you had to do and you could make money through that? Because I know sometimes people have it like they don't want to be told what to do. Was that something for you, or for you was it just like I like making money online, I want to make more of it?
I mean, yes and no. So like when I was a chef, obviously I had chefs above me and they were telling me what to do, and I was fine with that. But I did always strive to run my own like department. For example, when I was a chef, my kind of passion and what I was very good at was desserts, pastry. So I just quickly worked my way up to be head of pastry. That was my kind of thing, and I did all the desserts and stuff, and I loved it. But I still was being told what to do by head chefs and sous chefs and etc. But yeah, I definitely got a thrill. I think it's a personal thing. It's probably something that a lot of people go through, but my family are very much of the old generation. What I mean by that is you go to school, you then either choose college or university, and then you get a job. My sister, for example, went through that path. She's a doctor. I was the complete opposite. So I wasn't very good at school, and not because I was stupid. I just didn't enjoy it, and I messed around, and I was a class clown with a couple of my mates because I just didn't have any interest. Um, so yeah, I think the second I then made some money for myself, it was almost like a real cool game that I could like prove my parents wrong. Like they, you know, there was nothing wrong with what they were doing because that's all they knew and that's what they believed in. And you know, that's if you want to become a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, yeah, education is 100% right. But for me, I was a bit of a kind of black sheep in the family where I just went against everything they said. But when I then had that rush of making money, it was almost like to prove them wrong. It's like I told you I could do this like by myself. And like when I got it, I just wanted to keep going. And for me, it was just a thrill of like no one knowing what I was doing, but I was doing very well. And that wasn't instant, but yeah, it's just an amazing feeling, like you say.
I love that. Yeah, you wanted to prove them wrong, and boy, did you prove them
Yeah.
wrong. And especially with everything going on with CRO now. So that's what I'd love to dive in a little bit deeper. So for anyone
Sure.
who doesn't know too much what CRO is, or it's a term they've heard of before, can you just briefly explain what it is and why it's so important for ecom brands?
Yeah, so the way I describe CRO, conversion rate optimization, is a very simple breakdown. You have a website, let's call it website A, and you send 10,000 people to that website. And that website, out of those 10,000 people, 1,000 people, I mean, that would be a great conversion rate, but 1,000 people purchase your product. Now, we then create website B, and it's exactly the same as website A, but it's optimized. It's optimized for conversions. And we can go into more details about what conversion principles are, etc. But it's optimized to convert. So it's exactly the same website, but some slight changes based on conversion principles. You send the exact same 10,000 people. So it's not new people, it's not a different audience, it's not bigger, less. It's the exact same 10,000 people to website B that's optimized. And instead of 1,000 people purchasing, 3,000 people purchasing. Now, all of a sudden, you've made 3x the revenue, 3x the money, and 3x purchases on your website from the exact same people. You're just optimizing for turning clicks into sales or into conversions. So in a nutshell, what conversion rate optimization is it's optimizing user behavior, it's optimizing people on your website for a specific outcome. Now, that doesn't always have to be sales. That could be a lead. You know, it could be an opt-in. It could be lead generation. It could be a download of a brochure, a SaaS. It could be joining a mailing letter, newsletter. But there's always an end goal in mind. There's always what's your North Star? If that's purchases of a product, okay, so how can we optimize this website so that more people are going to purchase the product when they view your page? And it's an ever-going thing. There's a lot of details that obviously you can go into. It's basically two sides, qualitative and quantitative. So visual versus data, basically. Visual changes based on user psychology, on conversion principles, trust, social proof. And then on the back end, it's understanding your audience. So it's looking into things like analytics, where they're clicking on your page, surveying, heat map software, where are people coming from, what's their demographic, why are they purchasing, why are they almost not purchasing. And it's gathering all this data and it's making informed decisions on tests that you want to run on your website in order to increase the end result, basically from the same people. Hopefully that's kind of explained exactly what CRO is.
I think anyone who had doubts about what CRO is, they're going to be an expert now because that was a very good explanation. But I was wondering then, from all of the different aspects of online marketing, you've got paid ads, you've got email marketing, you've got content creation, you've got everything. For you, other than like all of the obvious and logical reasons you just explained, what made you focus 100% on CRO then?
I think CRO is just the one that you can have the biggest impact from the same audience. So with paid media, it's all about scale. It's all about how can we spend more money? How can we look left and right? How can we go from Meta to TikTok to PPC to Google? But it's always about spending more money to acquire more people. What CRO is about how can we actually make the most out of the people you're already sending, and then scale, obviously, because you'll be making more money. So what really attracted me to CRO is also frameworks and best practices of landing pages, because for 8 years that's what we did. We were the landing page guys, literally. And it was all about, okay, you're regardless, there's always going to be a landing point. 9 times out of 10, when you're doing direct to consumer marketing or you're doing marketing online, you are sending someone from somewhere, whether that's an email, whether that's a Google ad, Facebook ad, TikTok video, whatever. You're sending them to a page. Let's just call it a page. Yes, it could be a store. Yes, it could be a website, but ultimately it's a landing page. It's somewhere they land on online. So a lot of people get fixated of how do you get people to that page? How can we get more people to a page? When what we said is, what we're interested in is whoever gets to that page, let's make sure we make the most of them, because even if it's 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people, if you spend time actually optimizing that page and that funnel and that store, you're going to make way more out of the people who do visit. So I think we chose CRO originally because I'll be very honest, because of opportunity. I had as you mentioned in the intro, I had an affiliate marketing community. I always loved design. Chris, you know us, but anyone who doesn't know myself and Andy, my co-founder, Andy is very much the more kind of geeky side of the business. He loves the kind of the ops, the processes, the kind of that side of things. I'm very much the sales, the visual, the innovation. So I was always driven by design and things that are sexy and that kind of thing. So my community was designed with that in mind. So it was a very attractive community when I had it. And someone, a key person, joined the community and then hit me up and said, how can I hire your designer? And at that time, I didn't have a design agency or a CRO agency or landing page agency, but I was opportunistic to think, okay, instead of just making an intro, I will actually arbitrage the situation. So I will not just send this person to Tim, I will sit in the middle and I'll manage the projects and I'll take a cut. So to start with, I was doing that, and it suddenly then became a thing where I met Andy. We were getting more and more requests for landing pages and design. And we thought, do you know what, let's build an agency out of this. And that was 11 years ago. But the more we got into the agency, the more we knew that we wanted to be in direct response. We didn't want to be your kind of typical graphic design agency where we can make your website look nice. Do you know what's fucking cooler? Like making it look nice, but making sure it performs as well, because that's a clear metric. And I think it was always the performance side of things that really excited us.
I love that. I love that's a very complete answer, and there are a lot of questions I'd love to ask to build off of that. But then,
Sure.
there are a lot of CRO agencies. Other than, I would say, the experience and the knowledge that you guys have, what would you say makes ConversionWise uh, the better agency? Let's just put it that way. Let's just be blunt, to go to in terms of CRO.
I think one thing, we are nothing without our team. And Chris, you're obviously one of our fantastic team. We're very lucky to have all of our team. And we are nothing without them. But one thing that I think makes us, I guess, stand the test of times, the fact that me and Andy are still here after 11 years, that's a long time. Like that's over probably 35-40% of my life I've spent on this business. We are still here. Like Chris, we still turn up every single morning on a call. We still work full-time hours. We still commit everything to this company because we care. We genuinely care about, it's not about the numbers anymore. What's even more exciting is the numbers we get for clients, because we can change clients' business. We've literally saved clients' business. We've added multiple 7-8 figure annual revenues to clients' businesses from like one individual A/B test. And that's the thing, is that we still, to this day, me and Mandy are still in the trenches and still super excited. Like, listeners and watchers won't know this, but we have a Slack channel with all our staff. There's probably 45 of us in there. And we have a feedback channel that wherever something positive for the company happens, it automatically fires into that channel. So for example, on the optimized solution, our CRO ongoing A/B testing solution, whenever we have a winning test, it gets fired into that channel. I live in that channel. Again, as I said, I'm a very much like a sales kind of quick win, like those kind of quick wins is what drives me. So I live in that channel. So soon, I'm often the first one to react to a winning test or something, because we're still that passionate about it 11 years on. And we're really passionate about, I guess, delivering results for our clients. So when we hire new people for the company, yes, experience is super important. Of course it is. Experience in CRO is very, very important. But equally as important, in my opinion, is getting the right people and the culture fit. It's people who can hold a conversation. It's people who have a really good personal beliefs, and they believe in doing right by their customer. We practice complete ownership. So look, mistakes happen in any business, and any agency or business that tells you they don't make mistakes is lying. If we make a mistake, rarely, but if we do, we encourage complete ownership. So we hold our hands up. It's our fault. We're going to put this right. This is how we're going to put it right. And I just think there's certain, I guess, mantras and certain things that we've instilled into our company, like complete ownership, like being good people, like building relationships with our clients, so that we don't just tell them the good news. We also, if there's losing tests, we tell them, and we explain to them why we thought it lost, and how we'll learn from it. But we get to know them. We get to know if they have family, if they support a specific football team, and build that relationship. Because I think agencies are built on relationships. Yes, results and performance are the number one most important thing. Of course they are. And we strive to get all our clients results, and that's why our lifetime value of our client is so high. But I think relationships are huge. We encourage all of our staff and employees to build a relationship with the client, know when their birthday is, send them something in the post, because I just think it shows that you care, and it goes above and beyond what a normal service-based business is. Because if you're just delivering a service, it becomes mundane, it becomes boring. Often that's when results can slip. But if you're building that relationship, and we always say this on like onboarding calls, we want to be your in-house outsourced team. And I know that sounds weird, but we want to be an extension of your family and your team. And we want to be consultative. If we think that you're lacking in email marketing, we will tell you. If we think that you should look at a different channel for acquisition, we will tell you. So yes, we are CRO at the forefront, but we also look at the bigger picture, and we have sister companies and other companies that we work with that we can bring in to ultimately boost your overall business performance. And we care. We just care.
All of that makes such sense, because the numbers don't lie. And in the last year or two, ConversionWise has scaled dramatically. And like you said, other than just incredible results, it's also the relationship, the transparency, the open communication. I think that counts so much. You mentioned Andy a couple of times, your co-founder. Walk us through that story a little bit more, because obviously partnering up with someone on a business is not an easy and quick decision to make. Walk us through that story a little bit more. How did you guys meet? How did everything happen there?
Yeah, sure. I feel hugely grateful to have Andy as my co-founder and best friend, and he's been that for 11 years now. Everyone sees me because I'm kind of almost the face of the company, but I always joke that, and there's some truth here, but that I'm the kind of face and he's the brains. It is the case that I will say what we do, and then he works out how we do it, and that's just very much how our relationship works. So we are very much opposites, but in a great way, because we just complement each other. Whatever he's bad at, I'm good at. Whatever I'm bad at, he's amazing at. So I'm very lucky to have him. But believe it or not, we met through that community as well. So the affiliate community that I built all those years ago, there was only to start with probably 300-400 members on there, and Andy just happened to be one. And this is just pure coincidence that in the old school communities, these are days before Facebook groups, before Discord, etc. You have a little bio in your, it's called a post bit, but basically where you post, and it says your location. And Andy said Bristol, and I live just outside of Bristol. So I thought this is Bristol in the US, because there's a Bristol in the States. I think there's a few Bristol in America. So I sort of hit him up and said, by the off chance, is this Bristol in England? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is a global affiliate community. I say global as in we're not targeting UK people. It was just out there in the sphere of the internet. Yeah. And we had 400 members, and one of them lived 20 minutes from me. And that was just crazy. I never heard of him, never met him, had zero mutual friends, zero connections. And yeah, it was just one of those moments where I was still full-time as a chef, but I said to him, like, right, no one from my school, no one from my area has a clue about this internet affiliate marketing, entrepreneurship stuff. Should we chat? Because like when you can chat to people about it, it's amazing. So he was like, yeah, let's meet up. I always remember my now wife, but my girlfriend back then, Josie, was like, please don't meet this guy. You don't know, he could be a weirdo. He could kidnap you or something like this. And I was like, no, I'm sure we'll be all right. Yeah. So yeah, he came to my flat. We had a cup of coffee, and I think for the first 2 weeks, I hired him. We had this basic contract written up. I've still got it. It's amazing. It's so funny to look back on it. It's like, I will pay you X amount for 2 hours, two working days a week. I will give you lunch on one of the days. Like, it was very funny. And we soon realized that, yeah, that's not going to work. Andy is a co-founder. He's the other half of me, essentially, with the skill set, etc. And now we actually joke that he is my other half. I've got a wife at home and I've got a husband at work. So yeah, it's all good.
That's the wildest story. Like you said, from anyone in the world who could have been in that community, it had to be someone who lived very, very close by and
20 minutes, crazy.
That's just luck sometimes, and little moments like that just shape the future of your life. That's super, super wild as a story. You mentioned, I think you answered this question a little bit before, but a stat that just blew me away the other day was how low the churn rate is for ConversionWise. So I was curious, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because obviously that's always a metric every agency wants to focus on as much as possible. How is it so low?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I think I sit, like I say, very much on the sales side. So I am driven by sales, by marketing, how many leads we're getting, that kind of thing. And I think most agencies are. And what we see because we mentor several agencies, is the mistake is that's all they focus on, and they don't have an Andy where they're selling a lot, but they're churning a lot, and it's really a nil game because you just sort of replace what you churned on the sale. This is where Andy is amazing. Is he has the same way I'm fixated and very accountable for sales. He's the same on the churn. So we gave each other, I guess, without even knowing, those key metrics to be responsible for as co-founders, as co-CEOs, whatever you want to call us. And Andy is equally, as I am on sales and marketing, obsessed with churn and client satisfaction. So I think one thing that we did was, one of our first ever hires, probably 6-7 years ago, was a guy called Alex, who's still with us. Chris, you know him. He's been in the company for a long time. So he knows the company inside and out. He knows client satisfaction inside and out. And we about a year ago promoted him to client satisfaction across the whole part, because we have two sides to our company. We have our design side, and we have our CRO. The design is a one-time thing. The CRO is the ongoing solution that you're alluding to, that we have these ridiculous lifetime values on. And Alex has been amazing. So just giving someone that responsibility of client satisfaction, being proactive as opposed to reactive. I think that's a really important thing in any agency. Is a lot of people are good at, when there's a problem, addressing it. But the way you need to look at it is, why did the problem happen in the first place? So for years, we were a reactive agency. We would wait until something went wrong. Then Alex or myself or Andy would get on the phone and we'd apologize and we'd learn from it and we'd hopefully it wouldn't happen again. But now we're a very proactive agency. So instead, Alex is taking daily calls with customers just to check in. He's just asking them, how is everything going? How can we do better? How can we improve our processes? How can we get better results? What's the communication? What are we doing wrong? He's asking these questions proactively all the time. So we can then have this pipeline of things that we're constantly improving on. So we are constantly hiring for new positions that our customers want. We are constantly changing the processes to fit the customers better. We are taking not a one size fits all. We are very much a one-to-one with the customer. If they want a specific call on a specific day every week, we will take it. If they give specific feedback, we will action it. So we are very much strict when it comes to the CRO because we are experts and we know what gets you results. But when it actually comes to how we communicate, how we work with clients, how we run processes, how we build relationships with clients, that's where we're super, super proactive. So we will reach out and ask them what they want and how we can improve. And Andy, very, very bluntly, is responsible for that churn percentage, and I'm responsible for that sales percentage. And as long as I keep bringing the sales in, Andy keeps the churn low, the company's going to grow and go to where we want to be, because we're hugely ambitious. We want this to be the biggest and best, of course, CRO agency on the planet. We're on our way. We're definitely not there. We're a long way from it, but we are definitely on our way, and we're one of, and we're going to hit that goal.
Sounds like a dream team to me. You focusing on the sales, Andy focusing on reducing the churn. So for anyone that has an agency, now you know what to do to reduce your churn. Let's say now on the perspective of someone that has an ecom brand or that wants to focus on CRO. Obviously, there's no one size fits all when you want to optimize a website, but with your experience, where do you generally look at first, or what are the biggest needle movers or maybe even best practices when you look at landing page or store? You think, okay, we need to focus on this.
Yeah, I think one key metric is volume of data. So you will know with your experience, Chris, that you need data to quantify an A/B test. If you don't have enough data, take bigger swings. So if you're under, say, 100,000 hits per month, redesign your landing page. Come up with what we would call a traditional split test, where you split one version against a completely different version. Now, that different version should be based on best practices. So that's why we have two sides to our agency. We have the design side, which we will redesign your pages, your stores, with our conversion frameworks and principles baked into the design. And you are 9 times out of 10 going to convert higher because of those. But when you get above 100,000 hits, that's when you can focus on ongoing CRO and A/B testing. So I think you have to be very strict with that stat, because what we find is a lot of people want to A/B test on lower volumes of data, which you can do, but you'll get frustrated because it takes a lot longer to gain statistical significance on that test and to see if it's actually a winning or losing test. In the meantime, you could have actually made more money by taking a bigger swing, by doing a redesign, for example. When you reach above 100,000 hits, that's when you want to really focus in. And I'm not saying you have to use an agency or ConversionWise, but that's when you really have to lean in on data. So understanding your audience. Go deep into GA4, see where the bottlenecks are, where people are dropping off. Is there any bugs, etc., on your site? Look at things like post-purchase surveys, especially in ecom. If you don't have post-purchase surveys, they should be a no-brainer. NoCommerce is a fantastic software if you want to set some up, but I'm surprised that Shopify just don't have them as default into the software. They probably will one day. But yeah, post-purchase surveys are crucial because they'll tell you why people are purchasing or why people are almost not purchasing. So you can actually use that data to make decisions. So data analysis is hugely important. Surveying is hugely important. Using something like a heat map software. We partner with heatmap.com. Dylan Ander, fantastic guy. Full disclosure, we're actually investors, but heatmap.com is amazing software. It tracks based on revenue clicks, not just clicks. So whereas a Hotjar will tell you where people scroll and click, It won't actually tell you if those clicks may mean money. Heat map will actually tell you where they click and purchase. So using all that data to make informed decisions. And then what you want to do is you want to take all of that data, so all of the bottlenecks, all of where people are dropping off, all of the findings of your surveys, all of the heat map software feedback, all of the actual heuristic view where you actually look at your site and you think this could be better based on conversion principles. You want to take all of that and you then want to create ideas of what you think. And let's not get it wrong. Nothing's factual. So they are all ideas. They're not guesswork, but they are ideas of what you think will increase your revenue per session or your conversion rate. And you want to put them in a table. Now, you can rank them in several different ways. What we do is we rank them in highest impact. So what we think is going to have the biggest uplift with ease of implementation. So what's easiest to implement with the highest impact, we'll then go and attack that first and we'll kind of work down that. And, people have different frameworks for ranking, ICE framework, PXL framework, etc. So there's lots of frameworks you can use, but yeah, it's then you then want to start A/B testing. So you want to take an iterative approach where you test one thing at a time, see if you can get statistical significance on it, to see if it's actually a powered test, means it's a winning test. Then you implement it on your site and then you go again with another test. But yeah, I think it's not something that's easily done because there are so many moving parts. That's why you may want to use an agency. But if you do it yourself, that's how I would do it for sure.
I hope everyone took down notes because that was a short masterclass on CRO, and it gives you so many guidelines what you need to follow, where you need to focus on. What I'd love to do is if we look a little bit more, or we talk a little bit more about you now. With the intro, like you said, I talked about the highs. We always know in entrepreneurship and when you're building something, there are highs, but there are also lows, there are challenges, there are struggles. What would you say was one of your most struggling maybe challenge you had to overcome, and how did you then overcome it?
Yeah, great question. I mean, there's been times in this last 11 years where me and Andy have had very serious conversations of shutting the whole business down. So, we've reached a point before where, we've actually talked about closing ConversionWise down. And I remember a specific time a couple of years ago where things weren't going well. We were very, very good at design. We weren't necessarily amazing at the development side of the business when it came to actually building websites, because that's what we used to do on the other side of the solution. And we were honestly not far away from closing down and moving on to something else. And for some reason, what we did, and this is a mistake that everyone can learn from, is we never focused on recurring revenue. Now, recurring revenue to me now is everything. And I would never probably do a business again without having recurring revenue, because it just gives you freedom to make hires, to have predictable revenue incoming, so you can make informed decisions. You're not starting every month from zero. Starting every month from zero after 8 years, where we were sort of a couple of years ago, gets fucking tiresome. And I said to Andy, he was just about to go on holiday, and he was like, look, I want to go on holiday, then we'll make a decision. And I said, okay, I'm going to try something. I didn't even tell him, actually. I sent out an email to our list about a recurring design subscription service. So we had a lot of clients who loved our designs. They wanted landing pages. They needed them frequently. So I sent out an email, and in that email, I talked about this new solution we were going to do, which was going to be a monthly subscription for design. So we would give you 5 or 6 landing page designs or store designs every single month for X amount every single month recurring. And to my amazement, we sold 2. I know that sounds like a tiny amount, but these were 5K packages. So we sold 10K's worth of packages on one email. So I then went to my sales team and I said, right, go and sell another 3 this week, which they did. So all of a sudden we went from having 0 recurring revenue to having 25K in recurring revenue within a week. And that, to me, just opened up the floodgates for actually driving the growth that we've had in the last 2 years. So 2 years ago, we probably had 15 to 20 staff on one solution. We now have 2 solutions, and we probably have 45 to 50 staff, and we're growing really quickly. And that's probably been in the last sort of 12 to 18 months. So that was a challenge we definitely overcome, just trying something. But again, the lesson from that is I would build recurring revenue into your business, especially as an agency. We didn't, which was just mad to think. But there's been plenty of times we've been, probably 3-4 years ago, during the kind of first peak of COVID, our business was actually doing okay on ConversionWise, but we invested into an ecom business. I actually left my day-to-day role on ConversionWise and went over to be the CEO and the kind of manager on the ecom business. And we did really well. We had 4 brands, ecom brands. One of them did extremely well. 2 of them were good, one failed. But I took my eye off ConversionWise. And what happened is, instead of having 2 businesses that were booming, we had 2 businesses that were doing okay. And it was a big decision. And I had to admit failure on the new business because I couldn't sustain both. And I then left that business and came back over to ConversionWise. And all of these things are painful to look back on, but I hate the cliche. They're all sort of lessons that I've learned. And they're also now that I talk about both those scenarios that were very personal to me and were big, not mistakes, but big downsides in the business where we, almost lost 2 businesses or 1 business. They kind of coincided with the same time of when everything started to go very right for ConversionWise, probably about 2.5 years ago, when we sort of rebranded. We had these new solutions. We thought about recurring revenue. I came away from our other ecom business and to purely focus back on ConversionWise again. And now I feel incredibly grateful that we stuck with it, because, like I say, we just had this incredible growth over the last nearly 2 years now.
That's such an interesting answer because there's a lot of value in there as well. But I was just wondering, I know that I believe relentless is one of your favorite keywords.
Yeah.
So maybe just giving up isn't in your nature, but when you have moments like these where it's just really struggling and it's easy to just think, you know what, I'll just go back to comfort. I might go back to just cooking, a chef, which you were very good at. So you had ways to go back to comfort, we can call it. What goes on then through your mind, or how do you just think, you know what, I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to keep trying. Like you said, send out emails, try and get recurring revenue. Yeah, how did you?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think pride. I'm a very proud person. So I think I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs, like on both sides of my family, my wife's family, my family. Like, yeah, my dad is somewhat entrepreneurial, but he always had like a boss. He's a director of a sports brand, but he sits on the sales side. But he wasn't the founder. He had small equity, not large amounts. So I don't have that kind of sort of entrepreneurial foundation around me from a family and friends perspective, like as in my family friends. So I think it goes back to those chefing days where I was making my own money, and it was like it wasn't like a fuck you to my parents, because that's not a nice thing to say, but it almost was, if that sounds weird, because it was like I can do this, like I used that fuel for the fire. So I think in times of downs and struggles in the business, I always have a pride thing. I also think if I fail and I go back to my chefing job, there is nothing wrong with that at all, but I've almost let all those people down as well. Like, it's all been for nothing. So there's always been like that drive of like, I am the one person in my family that's doing it something for themselves and doing very well within my kind of world. And there's always that pride thing that I never wanted to let them down. So that's one thing. But you're right, relentlessness just always comes back. I've got a huge sign in my home office like this, a light that says relentless. I want to say I didn't, because I probably would get thrown in jail. I didn't make our head of sales get the tattoo, but she now has, Liza has relentless tattooed on her forearm. I don't know if you've seen that, but she
No,
has relentless now tattooed on her forearm, because
think of that.
that's all what I used to always say to her. Like, you've just got to be relentless. And yeah, I think a never quit attitude. I think I get asked this question a lot when I kind of like mentor people or more business related podcasts or like advice about entrepreneurship and stuff, and like people say like, oh, what's the biggest reason for failure? And it's honestly, it's just giving up. Like, you don't know how close you are to something if you just keep going. And if you just have that never say die mindset and that relentless mindset, then nothing's going to phase you, really. You'll make something right eventually. People are too quick to quit, and consistency and relentless in any form of anything, really, any skill, any life skill, any business, are just the two things that I live by and die by, I guess. Yeah.
I love your mindset though, Oliver. That's really good. And that's clearly why ConversionWise is doing what it's doing today, just crushing the business. You answered already a little bit my following question, but I was wondering if you had to start over today, you had to start all over. You don't have the network, you don't have anything. The only thing that you do keep is the knowledge you have of building a company. How would
Yep.
you go about that if you had to start from scratch?
Yeah, love it. Okay, so first and foremost, I would read a book called Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley. Amazing book, but I would pick something that I can monetize and enjoy, and then I would be relentless. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
With putting out or becoming obsessed with becoming the category king or the person of influence within that space. So whether you pick email marketing, CRO, you want to start a gardening channel because you're so passionate about it, like do everything you can within every second of the day to become an authority first and foremost within that space. Don't worry about money. One amazing guy from my affiliate days, Ben Cagle, who was a very successful affiliate network owner, he always said to me, and it always stuck, he said, the money will follow. If you become too fixated with the money, you're not going to make it. If you become obsessed with becoming a master of your craft, the money will follow. So first and foremost, become an authority and become obsessed with whatever you choose to do. I don't care what it is. Anything, most things can be monetized. And yes, different industries can demand higher monetization fees, etc. So you might want to think about that, but think about something you enjoy and go and become an authority within it. So Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it is, wherever you can build a social following, lean into what you're good at. So if you're good on video, YouTube. If you're good at long form, Twitter. If you're good at business canvases, LinkedIn. Like lean into the channel that's best for you and just be relentless. Start a posting schedule, start obsessing and fixating over becoming a master of that craft and give out all the information for free. You want to build up 1,000 true fans. Don't worry about 100,000 fans. Don't worry about shiny objects. Don't worry about, I don't know, whoever, Ted blogs, I don't know, who has 1 million followers. That's not you. You don't need 1 million followers. You need 1,000 people who are hanging on your every word. And the second you can build those people is the second you can then validate an idea for a business, whether that's a community, whether that's a service, whether that's a software. Ask your audience. So build that following first, 1,000 true fans, not millions, thousands, and ask them, what's stopping them from doing X? What's the problem with Y? Why isn't this working? How could this be better in your industry? This. Validate an idea, throw up an MVP, and don't take too long to do it, because that's what we've done wrong many a time. We spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on softwares that people don't use 90% of because we thought they would, but we didn't ask them. So validate a very simple idea and then scale it with your people. But first and foremost, become obsessed with a specific industry or a specific service or a specific market and go and be the fucking best at it. So that to this day, still 11 years on, I am obsessed with the fact that if someone thinks of CRO or landing pages and they don't think of me, I have failed. And if people put on Twitter, who's the best at landing pages or who's the best at CRO, and my name doesn't get tagged, I am seriously pissed off. I am gutted, but it just means that my job's not finished yet. So it's good.
I love that. I love that. Or it's just that that person doesn't know enough about CRO yet to know that you are the best at it.
Right,
Then
but people should be tagging me in.
naturally they should. So before we go into the rapid fire questions, I just got some there lined up. Last question I would like to ask is, with all the new trends, with everything going on, what can we expect to see, or what are your plans with ConversionWise for this year?
Yeah, I think scale is key for us, sustainable scale. So making sure that we're still delivering the right results to our clients, still getting amazing uplifts in revenue for our clients. Client satisfaction is everything but scaling. I'm very honest when I say there's a lot of CR agencies that are very happy being small and, have several clients. We are very, on the other hand, and there's no right or wrong with either of these, by the way, but we are very obsessed with becoming the biggest and best CRO agency in the world. So with that takes, a lot of a lot of different efforts on both sides, on the sales, on the marketing, on the retention, on the client success. So we found a market and we found a model that works, and we're getting amazing results for our clients. So I think for us, it's all about scaling. So it's, you know, it's not about new, it's about how can we maintain the results and the relationships whilst we scale. And that just comes down to personnel, staff, processes, listening to clients, you know, being proactive, as I said, and that's what we're all about this year.
Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. So now for the rapid fire questions. Don't ask me how I came up with these questions.
All
I
right, let's do
I
it.
don't really know. Very, very quickly, I know that this is something you love. What's your favorite rap song?
Song, wow. I don't know why. Tupac Do for Love just came into my head. Love that song.
Let's do top three.
Uh,
Tupac.
Tupac Do for Love, Common the Light, and this is
Difficult one, eh?
mad. Yeah. I even remember the name of the Drake song. Don't think about it too much. Too much. There you go.
Oh, yeah,
Got it
nice.
too much.
Okay, just start
Yeah.
singing and it will come. Yeah, what's your favorite dish to cook, or maybe your favorite dessert? Because you said that was what you were gonna.
Yeah, I used to love desserts. Let's go starter, main, dessert. Starter would be probably scallops, some nice scallops.
Oh,
Main course would be braised beef with some bubble and squeak, and some horseradish. And then a dessert would probably be something like a vanilla panna cotta, something like that.
I mean, you can just hear from your answer that you know what you're talking about, because most people
I
just.
did it for a long time. From 13, I was in the kitchen. So 13 to
Yeah.
20, 26, I was a chef a long time.
Most people just say lasagna and a yogurt or something. That's their meal. Dream car. What's your dream car?
So I just want there's a few cars that I've just always wanted. One is the G-Wagon, one's the Audi R8, and I'm now looking at Aston Martin DB11. I really like those as well.
Not a bad combo. Not a bad combo.
Yeah.
What's your next dream holiday destination?
Anywhere with my girls. So I'm very blessed to have two beautiful little daughters and an amazing wife. And to be honest with you, we love going to a place called Roses in Spain. It's outside an area called Figuera, not too far away from Barcelona. And you know, I'm petrified of flying, so I don't fly. So it's doable, it's drivable for us to get there from the UK. And to be honest with you, nothing seems better than that right now with my little girls. So yeah.
That sounds good. And then the last question: what's your favorite book, a podcast, or person to follow if you want to just learn more about this overall industry?
About this industry, shout out to myself, key person of influence.
Love it.
No, I think there's a few guys in this industry that I really admire, and there's a lot of frauds in this industry. I will say that. The two guys that always come to mind as amazing resources for CRO and who are very, very good at their craft. One is Dylan Ander. Shout out Dylan. He ran a big agency called Split Testing, which he's actually sold. He now runs heatmap.com, amazing software. And the other one is a guy called Harry. I think it's Harry Molyneux, who runs DTC pages. He's one of our competitors, but I'm very proud that he's our competitor, because I think although he's not as necessarily a bigger agency as us, I think everything he puts out on Twitter is truthful. They're real results, real clients, unlike a lot of other people on Twitter. And he knows his stuff. He's a very, very talented CRO specialist, in my opinion.
Love it. Okay, Oliver, since you are the key person of influence when it comes to CRO, where
I'm
can
trying to
people,
be.
yeah, you're there, man. Where can people go if they want to show some love or if they just want to learn more about CRO?
Absolutely. You can visit conversionwise.com if you want to see our agency. If you want to learn CRO, I personally think there's no a more affordable or better way to do that than going to conversionrateacademy.com. That's our academy. It's less than $50 a month. You get a free walkthrough course, community, audits, all of the above. And if you want to stay in touch with me and let me know how this interview or podcast has gone, then you can hit me up at Oliver Kenyon on all social networks. So Twitter at Oliver Kenyon, LinkedIn at Oliver Kenyon, or hit me up at oliver@conversionwise.com.
Perfect. Okay, Oliver, thanks so much for your time. Loved it.
Cheers, Chris. Thank you.